Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Accountant Pitstop Podcast edition, all the way from the wonderful Accountex Manchester 2023. And we've got a wonderful guest lined up. Basically, I think the easiest thing for us to do is just go, Tony, explain who you are, what you do, why, and everything else. Go.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me along.
Anytime.
Liking being inside the old railway station. Very beautiful venue.
So it was a railway station. We were talking about this.
Go on then.
Downstairs looks very...
When you walk past from the outside with all the trains outside, you think, that's like, obviously, Musée d'Orsay or something.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice venue. Small.
How many did Manchester need for railway stations?
It's a very important Victorian town. I think
Okay.
So, Tony Walker, what do I do? Well, I'm part of Armalytix.
Yep.
Armalytix, I suppose most people know us from an open banking technology standpoint. We provide open banking services across a number of sectors. So accountants, obviously people here will know us from.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of clients in the legal sector, financial services, strange enough, gaming. So a lot of areas where people just need data. So if you think about journeys that today are manual and painful for both the professional and the individual, quite often it's because you've asked them for some financial information and that all becomes and that's where, open banking lends itself to this consent model where you can share the data you want to share and the professionals get exactly what they need to make their decisions. Obviously we have a lot of use cases in the accounting world.
It's one of our big pain points, right?
That's our statements is always, getting clients' bank statements is a pain. Do you agree with that statement or not? If you agree, you should talk to us. If you don't agree, then don't talk to us.
I challenge any one of these to not have that.
Theoretically, you all should have that.
Yeah.
You're either checking that the QuickBooks balance is correct and all the transactions are all there, or your clients aren't on bank fees and you have to check. So that's my sales pitch over. That's what Armalytix is about. That's how we help the industry.
So we're at Accountex North. North. Can't say North any more times. So why do you find this event so special? Why are you here today? What brings you to Accountex North?
I suppose as a vendor, obviously you've got a couple of things you're trying to do. You're going to meet clients, so it's always good. This is a good place. It's free from a point of you've got them together in one place. You get coffee and everything else. Obviously the vendor side is interesting. What is technology doing? What are people interested in? I just had a chat with the guys at FirmCheck. So it's a brand new, KYC ML platform. There's definitely a need for accountants to do more of that. And obviously there are other technology providers already in this space. So it kind of argues there is a need because it's supporting that. So it's interesting to see new technology. We've integrated with Client Engager. So practice management software is probably, I would say, front and central to accounting work in that, it's a cadence. What am I doing next? So obviously conversations with the Pixies, the Carbons, accountancy manager, they have to carry on going, take a while. You can see them here, have a good conversation. And it's good because often you're with the client and going, oh, do you want to tell your guy that you need to be integrated because it makes it easier. So I guess that's what I get out of it. We often take stands at these events. I don't think I'm very good at doing stands. I tend to find I get loads and loads of leads and no real follow-ups from them. So I'm just better circulating around and talking to people. Quite unashamed of just stopping and talking to people is quite a nice thing to do. And often you're talking to a client or a vendor and someone else comes along and starts a conversation. So, you've mentioned it already about integrations. For me, as a purely basis of an accountant, I can put my hand on 5 or 6 software that I only even considered because of that integration. So powerful. I'm already using one piece of software. I'm already invested in that piece of software. And they're telling me I could have a better experience if I go with the likes of yourself. It makes sense, right? So for you walking around here, sometimes it's not just talking to the end consumer, it's talking to those other vendors. Like you've already said, FirmCheck you've never really considered before. Maybe there's a conversation. There is, the source of funds, it's how do you do that, chase the money kind of question. But you're right. And it's interesting. You get to other sort of professional body shows and the technology is quite specific, and there's only there's like 4 or 5 things doing the same thing. There is so many apps and so many niche pieces that you can solve, and we admit we're quite a niche piece, which is why I think your point of being integrated is just like you don't need another piece of technology, but you do need the solution. You just need it to be part of the thing you're already using. It's like log out of this. I know you've got your stream decks and things, but log out of this, go into that. Seems to be, my God, how many apps do you guys want to run? It's amazing the amount of technology that has brought into this industry.
Exactly. And the clever ones go, well, if you're not using that technology, you're actually missing out. Like you've not got that fancy. I mean, Client Engager is very good at that. It's like you connect this new client up. It's like, And how are you going to get the bank statements again?
Yeah.
Because if you're not using Armalytix, good luck. You know what I mean? Like you can't use this fancy new button to get going.
But I think you're right. Actually, it's almost a validation that it's you knew it was a need, and then when you see it somewhere else, it becomes a need.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of clients who've come to us who have seen a client engagement. I think either Johann or Andy has demoed it, and they've then seen Armalytix and gone, "I need that." So
Yeah,
they're already on with us, and now looking to go on.
It's almost FOMO, isn't it?
Yes, I guess that's where you want to be as a vendor.
Yeah.
But Cresco in the same position. You know, it's like oh yeah, I do need that. That would make it easier. Oh, it's there.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
It must be the right sort of thing. Because it's already in there. You know?
And you've already trusted client engager or whoever to.
Yeah, exactly.
So the decisions they made.
Due diligence is done. It's sniff tested.
Yeah.
Aaron is a smart guy. He's already thought. So he's used. Oh, well, in that case.
And it's got to be good. Yeah, exactly. So what are you most looking forward to about today then?
Oh, God, blimey. There's a few. Obviously, there's a bit of conflict because there's different things you think you should go to.
Yeah.
So there's one later about the small and large practice. So Will Funnell and Jonathan Ford talking about, do you grow to, I want to be the 7-figure, all that stuff, or do I just want 20 clients and I'm very happy with that? Yeah, so it's philosophical and quite interesting. Tech trends is always, I'm interested just to see what people are talking about. It's hard talking to lots of accounting clients to understand what's your top problem.
Yeah.
And I think in my mind, if you ask me the question, what do I think the issue for everybody is? Practice management. Because that's an efficiency question, and if you get that right, then your practice can grow to the size you want it to be, judging by the first question. So I think, tech trends. There's a bit about APIs, I think, is one of the talks today.
Yeah.
But I guess that leads to, I don't really think you want APIs. I think what you want is integrations.
Yeah.
Which means the technology has to have an API.
Yeah.
You don't care about the API. You're not going to sit there and code an API. I mean,
exactly.
I'm sure you're smart
enough,
but it's like,
yeah.
I don't think you're that excited about APIs.
And ironically, the people talking about APIs are one of the ones with the worst track records of APIs. So,
yes, actually, that was one I put down on the list and realised it was a vendor talking. So you're like, that's a sales pitch.
Look, we love them. We are very on board with them.
Mentioned them, so it's fine.
But their API is a bit ironic, shall we say?
But that should really be the word integration, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
We both said
exactly
in many ways.
So, what's been your highlight? It's a bit difficult. I mean, behind the curtain, we've been in an hour.
My oat flat white was very good.
Oh, was it good? Was it?
That was quite good.
That wasn't a Sage purchase, was it? Or
it was in the middle. Or did I do? Well, there were. Okay, so maybe that's a suggestion to the event organisers. There's no coffee available outside. I can't buy a coffee outside. It was a bit early. Actually, my highlight was the Metrolink.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? Yeah.
So, last year I drove.
Yeah.
But when I say I drove from London here on the morning.
Ouch.
So I got to sort of like the end of the M6 at about just before 8 o'clock, and then took about an hour and a half to get from there to hit. You're like, well, I'm not doing that again. So I stopped at Altrincham. Here's my shout out to Altrincham, to all of you out there. Altrincham, end of the Metrolink. 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
You're like, done.
Yeah.
So that was my top
actually.
tip of travel. Just get to Altrincham.
Yeah.
You fall off the M6 to Altrincham anyway, so it was like done.
Yeah. I must admit, I drove for the first time ever to Manchester my whole life. Normally just jump on the train. So I got all this stuff to bring. And then I parked up and I was like, oh, surely the car parking can't be that bad. £27 a day. I'm here for 3 days. How much? Sure, there's a decimal point missing there. Yeah. Okay, so how do you take action from this event? So, because you're going to get lots of leads, you're going to get lots of information, you're going to get lots of opportunities. What's your pro tip to anyone out there if it's their first, second, third event? How do you take action from it?
Oh, as anybody really. So sort of visitor to an event, whether you're a vendor or just an accountant or whatever.
Yeah. Because we're all like, we come here. I don't know about you. I come away from this buzzing, all of these things, but especially the first couple of events, that just filtered away.
I'm very surprised. A lot of people, I'm sure if you speak to vendors on stands, you have a lot of people who walk around who studiously avoid eye contact, which I still don't really understand. It's like you've come to an event, so I would have thought you're coming here to learn something, which you're either listening to someone talking about a particular subject, or, I don't know what, Planner G does. So I'm there's a stand out just over here.
Yeah.
How am I ever going to find out what they do? I might as well talk to them. I'm not going to get eaten by the salesperson. So I'm always surprised that people don't ask you what you do.
Yeah.
I think we were at I saw you at a digital accountancy show, and there was one lady who walked around, and she was literally doing like a minute at every stand. And I think that's probably, that's sensory overload.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's probably almost the right answer in that. Okay, I've done my scan.
So it's like speed dating at that point.
Speed dating. So what is it? Okay, Okay, I get that. I'll walk
60
away.
seconds are done.
Yeah, but it is. But then also you can kind of go, is that something I need? And you can think about it separately. So I think there is an element of you have to be a little bit less shy than you normally are.
Yeah.
And you have to go and say, what's in this for me? Why does that work for me? What is it?
Yeah.
Okay, there isn't anything there. Fine. And say no.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the most important one because most people seem to say yes and really mean no.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So ask questions is probably the...
I like that. And then that way, you're going to come away with the best action point. So what's the best swag you've seen so far?
That's right. This is only a thing in this industry, by the way. Everywhere else I go, every other industry we operate,
We don't care about swag. Oh, we do here.
nobody cares about swag anywhere else. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you've got, okay, yeah. I mean, it's like I've got so many of these cotton bags that I need to pick up. It's like, how many cotton bags can I have?
On the way out, you could be like, which one today? You
Yeah,
know?
but you see, you're quite brand loyal.
Yeah,
You
well,
and
yeah,
Johann, but-
yeah.
So I mean, there is an element of you are probably your swag question is what have they released this year on that specific vendor as opposed to. You know, I think the firm check yellow T-shirts, you can't miss them.
Ooh.
So that's
Why, are they available, are they?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, in terms of you're creating something.
Okay.
So that you know, because you want to be on brand, don't you? You want to be recognised.
Any quirky swag you've seen so far?
I am a socks person. I don't want a picture of your face on my socks.
I mean, they are available, you know.
So these are swag socks.
Oh,
they're
so who are they from?
Company Moneypenny, the
Moneypenny. Yeah, we know Moneypenny.
They're good people.
Okay.
So they're quite nice socks.
Yeah.
So I think socks are probably.
So going
That's not
round that washing machine, you don't want mine in your answers. Let me know.
looking back out at me. It's a bold choice.
Yeah. So what do you love most about this industry then? Why accountancy? What
No,
gets
that's
you-
actually quite interesting. I think the fact that you are technology adopters. I mean, clearly, you know, there are 500 firms probably represented here
Yeah.
of 15,000, whatever the number is, and you know, you are sitting with the earlier adopter crew. But in terms of an industry, very tech focused and very and quite selfish, not in a rude way.
Yeah.
In a point of, what does this help me do better?
Yes.
And more efficient?
Yeah.
Got the idea that efficiency is key. I mean, I've come from a financial services background. Talks about efficiency, talks about Six Sigma. It's, you know, it's a million miles away at times. Because if it doesn't make money, you don't do it. It's kind of like there's sort of always this dichotomy. But you know, accountants seem to recognise that if they do things quicker and it's consistently deliverable, then their life is easier, which means they can do more or less or whatever they want to do. But it's it's very much a tech driven. So it's almost like, I've got this problem, there must be a piece of technology that solves that. I don't think other industries think that way. You're almost pushing them into technology of like, you could use something. Oh yeah. So that I think is, you know, you often hear in some of the talks people bemoaning a little bit about what's happening. It's like, if you look at the industry, it really has adopted technology and it really has pushed things forward.
Yeah.
Massively. You know, I don't hear about open banking payments really in other industries that much.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like they're just not. Well, I suppose what's their use case?
Well,
for it,
some of them are fundamental problems with open banking.
Yeah.
So, you know, so if you go to the conveyancing sector, I can't make a £500,000 deposit on a house.
No, exactly.
Because you can't.
Exactly,
You know?
yeah.
So okay,
It'd be ideal, but
I can do I can do 200, 5,000, whatever it is. But generally, they don't look for technology as solutions elsewhere as much.
Yeah.
That's probably disingenuous in some cases,
but mostly
broadly, very, very tech focused. Hence why you have things like Digital Accountancy Show, I guess. You know, it's like,
exactly.
saying the title.
Yeah.
Tech.
Makes sense.
So that's one thing I noticed.
So that was love. What would you change about the industry?
What would I change about accountants?
We do have Lifeline. So if you need to ask the audience,
Exactly. Help. What? I don't.
call a friend.
I guess it's not really an accountancy question. It's more of we're all humans at the end of it.
Yeah.
And you know, there is this problem of, you know, certainly as a vendor, you know, I'm obviously talking to someone because I'm trying to sell them something. Well, yeah, I'm trying to educate you as well so you understand.
Yeah,
I am trying to say something. So we have that sort of inbuilt. I don't want this. I don't want to be saying yes. And change. Now, we've already said that accountants like technology.
Yeah.
There is still quite a large part that denies the future and the change is necessary. And that's true across all industries. So I think that's always the problem, where you speak to someone and go, I have identified your problem. I've told you what your problem is and you agree, but you don't see there's a solution and how to move forward. I don't just mean in my space.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you talk to people and just go, but you could do this and your life would be easier.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, it's not really that difficult. It's like, but you've just accepted it for the last 20 years. You've done it like this.
Yeah.
It just means with the technology available then, it was right.
Yeah. But now we've moved on.
Yeah, we've moved on.
Yeah.
Maybe you should open your eyes and have a look and ask the question again and see what answers there are. And you might find there's a different answer to that question.
I love that. Yeah, and you're right. You're completely right.
So, but that's always true. I mean, that's a bit cheap shot because it's true of every walk of life. But I suppose you have the yin and the yang. You've got the early adopters and you've got the mass, and they're still in that sort of. I've always done it this way.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
You walk in the office and there's big piles of paper.
Yeah.
And then you take Armalytix, you're like, well, that's kind of a bit different to how you seem to operate.
No,
you know?
Yeah, it's true. So, what's your ideal client?
That's good because that's a proper sales question. Isn't it? That's the what's your persona?
Yeah, exactly.
I think as a firm, we're very good with very large firms. So in other sectors, we seem to do very well with very large firms. So we're more of an enterprise solution. In accounting, we seem to be small, medium practices. And maybe that's an interesting view on the industry, in that the small and medium practices actually are the people who are pushing. Now, clearly there'll be some large firms that will come along and say, no, we're always doing
Yeah.
I'm sure John Toon will have a comment on this.
Yeah.
But reality is there's easier adoption in small firms because you're the owner, Aaron, and you just say,
I'm having that.
This is what we're going to do. Guys, this is how it's going to work from now. So there is
that buy-in.
The evangelist is the owner. So every owner we talk to quite a bit, and she's very much into that sort of like, if I want to have something, I'll tell people this is how I'm doing it. And you have to be a little bit. My vision is this. I can be wrong, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
6 months down the line, didn't work. Next,
that's
on. Fine.
But
when we're in, we're all in.
Yeah.
And I think
otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, and you get that in a small and medium because you can.
Yeah.
Once you start to move up into the top 50, you're in this sort of
maybe a department or a team.
You get a team to do it, and they're like, well, this little team's doing it, but surely, how the hell do we get into everybody else? So that's kind of interesting. That so I think that persona is probably the small and medium, and I guess it fits with the client engager logic, which is, well, what are they? They're small and medium enterprises.
Exactly.
It's just the thing that they do. So and that becomes an easier, I suppose, for us from a marketing and everything else. It's an easier pitch and sale because you're captive, you're on it, and it's another widget, but it's a simple widget because it's already integrated. So,
and again, it comes back to it. That pain point is really easy to find. Like we all have the conversation topic, we're all there, and you've actually got a solution right there to sort it out.
And I think maybe that solution is less valid in the larger firms because the way they operate, and it is probably they're still doing it the way they were doing it 15 years ago. And it works. And actually to change that takes, it's a bold move.
Yeah, no, I get it.
When you work in a larger firm, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because the downside is if I try and fix it and I make it worse.
Yeah.
That's not going to look good on me. So you do have that mentality of an employee. Sorry.
Makes sense. So I have a tech stack that I go on and on and on about. Armalytix is always up there as well.
Yep.
For you, Tony, what's your number one item at the top of that tech stack? What can't you live without? Is it communication tool? Is it Excel? Is it a bit of social media? What is it? What's that tech stack that you would recommend to anyone?
Well, I guess it'd be wrong.
And keep it obvious.
No, it is obvious. I think I'd be LinkedIn. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I've used their name twice now. So Firm Check. Never heard of them before. I seem to be whoever's following them. I'm obviously following because I'm now getting those. But it's like, well,
yeah.
But I wouldn't have. I mean, I probably would have found them today because I've probably walked around all the stands and talked to people.
Yeah.
So I think that the power of that, and I know Johann and yourselves talk about that sort of media presence, but it is getting part of those conversations, isn't it? Is how do you get involved? And we work across industries, so that's the tool that really allows you to communicate. Obviously, internally, I'm a Salesforce user, so I need to have something. I need that practice management. Otherwise, I have no idea what I'm doing. What task have I got? I don't know. That's what I need. But the LinkedIn, I suppose, is the one that allows me to communicate broadly.
Love it.
Or have a voice.
Exactly, have a voice.
And
That's exactly, isn't it?
I suppose I've got enough followers. If I say something, if I'm completely wrong, Aaron will go, "That's total rubbish, Tony."
But at the same time,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's fine. I don't mind.
Keeps you honest, doesn't it?
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. So LinkedIn. I guess.
I love it. Great piece of tech stack. So, what's your feelings around AI? It's a buzzword at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look at the vendors,
should we talk about valuation points? Maybe a start place.
I mean, everyone's trying to be in the conversation topic, right?
Solution sets of a question. Is that the answer in search of a question?
Exactly.
Is the phrase?
So for you, what's your feeling on it overall? Because I would have thought for Armalytix, it's something that
it's valid. We have data scientists, because we have a lot of data. Now, obviously, in the accounting world, broadly, you want the data.
Yeah.
There are some instances where you might want a bit of insights. So
always,
I I like the fact that the Client Engager and Johann have renamed all of our products. So, our product is called Bank Fetch in Client Engager. Okay, it's Armalytix, but never mind, it's Bank Fetch. And Johann calls our source of funds Financial Insights Reports.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, but what is it? It's an insight into, what's going on.
Yeah.
So obviously some of those are dumb insights, as in I can just see the presence or absence of something. And some of them are more model-based, as in we've got some ideas and you start to build them out. So I think for us, what everybody wants is information out of a 400-page bank statement. That's the bit of information they want. Well, what is that key piece of information? So they do lend themselves to large language models. I think the risk is always this idea of, I don't want the data I've got isn't for public consumption. This is obviously by definition private.
Yeah.
So we need to bring our own models in to build them out. So that's probably the direction of travel. It's a bit like, I suppose blockchain where you go, it's public. It's like, yeah, but big financial institutions don't want it public. So there's a private chain where you're a member, I'm a member, and he's a member, but that's it. So that's where I think AI starts to be very valuable, is where you can get a model and then bring it into your environment. So it's learn something in the big domain.
Yep.
And then you use that learning in your specific domain, because your specific domain, A, may be sensitive, and B, is quite specific. You're things that people aren't looking for. The problem with AI is it tends to come up with quite random things as well.
It does. Exactly right.
And of course, if you look at the real workings of some of these, it's like, what's the percentage likelihood of the next word in this sentence being this? It's not really intelligence, it's maths.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking at data, bring it into your own data set. So I think that's valuable. Can we get better chatbots? Possibly. I know where you are in a journey. I know what your problem roughly is, so I'm knowing something. But
well, for you guys, is it more of an opportunity?
Yeah, I think
because what I can see with your with your solution is that AI will automatically look at a set of, if you've turned the feature on or whatever, automatically look at a set of clients and go, you know what, you're missing this period. Let's just go and request that for you.
Yeah.
It
could be simple things like that.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at more of the data output, where obviously in other sectors you're looking for the insights in the data. You're looking for specific evidence or absence of certain things. So that is, as transactions are just transactions. You sit there in QuickBooks having to classify them as like, what is marketing expenses?
Exactly.
Insurance,
exactly.
All that's just, I don't know. Maybe AI can help you on there.
Yeah.
But if you can find things that would have to be dug out, and it's even making client journey simply, like we do an income verification process, and obviously it's easier now to decide what income looks like. So we can go, is this your income? Rather than going, are these?
Yes.
Is one of these? Actually, our first guess is probably right now, because we're learning. So that's where you can see the value. You got millions, hundreds of millions of transactions we can learn on. To then use that to then say, what output do you want? Oh, you want to know those type of transactions? Yeah, we got a model that does that. So that obviously is your moat and making you different, because it's not just data. Now you know.
Yeah.
So yes, I think we see the value in that. I don't know. You may be right. Maybe there's a tax model that sort of says, oh, you're missing out on this opportunity.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
because that's where you want it to help, right? Is to
you want it,
almost. People forget they're even using
correct.
Armalytix.
It's meant to. I suppose the point is, you should not use it as an answer.
It's
a suggestion.
So
exactly. That's the first thing I have to learn.
So
I'd imagine with accountants, it's like, are there any suggestions of other things I should do? It's a bit like financial advisors. Have you got all these things? Well, these are suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. So then this next question from producer Lizzie. It says, how did you discover us at Ask the Accountant? So we're doing a bit of marketing analytics while we're here.
Well, well, beer normally helps on these things. So I met Johann over a beer at Accountex, one in Birmingham, Accountex.
Oh, no.
Accounting Web Live.
Accounting Web Live, yeah.
Yes. And we had a chat. And so that's where I first met Johann. So I guess that's how I met Ask the Accountants. I guess my question the other way around is, how did you two meet?
Over a beer at Accountex. 2000, whatever it was, a couple of years back. And that's where this idea came from. So
were you both
basically the power of beer is what we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. So that's, that thing I said, what should people do at these events? Ask questions.
Yeah.
Grab a beer and go and talk
we always push that on all our stuff, because it's right. Like this whole thing, we wouldn't be sat here now if it wasn't for an Accountex and some beer.
Were you both doing quite a bit of social media independently?
Yeah, I already had a podcast. I still do, QuickBooks Labs. And
originally, very specific to the...
Yeah, and originally the idea was, oh yeah, do you want to come on to that? There'd be a great voice to it. And then we were like, you know what? We could do more broader topics here that actually could do more benefits and everything else. And that's where it came from.
Okay.
So, Tony, this has been absolutely amazing. As always, we have seen some great insights into you, but now is your moment. Now you've got this camera, whatever camera works. Plug, and
oh my God. I didn't think that's what it was for. I thought it was just like, have good friends.
No.
Unashamed plugging.
Unashamed plugging.
More logos required. The F1 t-shirt.
Exactly right. Yeah.
The unashamed plug. Well, I said it earlier, actually. I said, look, what's the fundamental point here? Is it a pain getting clients' bank statements? If the answer to that is yes, then speak to Armalytix.
Yeah.
That's it.
And myself used it. Obviously, Johann used it because he went painstakingly into actually get it into Client Engager.
I think you had to use it, Aaron. Didn't
Yeah.
No choice.
There was too many flashing lights that I couldn't ignore. So yeah, we would recommend it. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else coming up? Should they follow on LinkedIn or anything like that?
Well, I think most people are following me. Follow Armalytix. See what else you can do with us. Remember that Financial Insights report? That's a good one.
Oh yeah, that's what. And Johann has many stories about that one, so, which you've all heard.
I think I might have earned a purple quality streak.
You've earned more than just a purple quality streak.
Well, it's great talking to you, Aaron.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you very much. And as always, everyone, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.